Hello students and welcome back to the science class. So we were discussing our chapter 3, that is materials of daily use. And in this chapter we were discussing about the animal fibers. And till now we have studied the first animal fiber, that is wool. And today we are going to study another animal fiber, that is silk. So talking about silk. Silk is a natural protein fiber of exceptional strength, texture and luster. Silk is produced by many insects such as silkworms, bees, wasps and ants that use it for building their nets. Spiders also produce silk, but the silk produced by the silkworms only is processed into silk fabric. Talking about the characteristics, silk is a strong and resilient fiber. It is soft to touch, but at the same time it is not slippery. It has sheen and luster. It is hypoallergenic, that is, it causes less allergies in humans. It absorbs moisture. Silk is warm in winters and cool in summers. And it is very easy to maintain. It is also known as queen of fibers. Tassar silk, moga silk and kosa silk are different varieties of silk. These silks are obtained from the cocoons spun by different moths. Mulberry silk is the most popular of all categories of silk, and it is produced by mulberry silk moth that completely feeds on the leaves of a mulberry plant. These moths are reared indoors and completely domesticated. Most of the commercial silk is the mulberry silk. The silk obtained from the cocoon of this moth is soft and lustrous and elastic, and it can be dyed into beautiful colors. Talking about the life cycle of a silk moth, it begins with the laying of the microscopic eggs and ends with the emergence of a beautiful moth. So let's look at the different stages in the life cycle of a silkworm. The female silk moth lay tiny microscopic eggs at the end of summer, and they remain dormant till spring. Come spring, tiny black caterpillars or larvae emerge from these eggs. These caterpillar feed on the mulberry leaves and grow bigger and bigger. Then they spin a protective cocoon of silk threads around them. The cocoon are white or golden in color. Inside the cocoon, the caterpillars change to pupa. As long as the caterpillars pupate, they do not eat. After 2 to 3 weeks, beautiful silk moths emerge from cocoons, and silk is processed from cocoons. Once they spin a protective cocoon around themselves, then these cocoons are boiled in hot water to separate the silk fibers from the worms. Each cocoon is made of one single silk thread. The trick is to locate one end of the thread. Then it is easy to unwind the silk thread from the cocoon. The process of taking out the threads from the cocoon for use as silk is called reeling. These silk threads are then used to manufacture the silk fabric. This picture shows you life cycle of silk moth from which silk is obtained. The scientific name for the silk producing moth is Bombyx mori, and it is one of the most beautiful moths ever found. Now the production and management of these silkworms for the production of silk is called sericulture. Or in simple language, we can say that the practice of rearing silkworms to produce silk on a large scale is called sericulture. We'll discuss about sericulture. Firstly, let's take a look at the life cycle of silk moth. So, The life cycle of silk moth starts by laying of eggs by the female silk moth. The female silk moth lays tiny eggs from which larva or a caterpillar hatches out. It feeds on the mulberry leaves and grows bigger and bigger. Then after that, the cocoon formation takes place, inside which the larva or the caterpillar changes to pupa and the pupa to the silk moth, to the adult silk moth. Talking about the cocoon formation takes place when the caterpillar is ready to enter the pupal stage, where it stops feeding and its salivary glands secretes a fiber which is made up of fibroin protein, which hardens on exposure to air and forms a cover around the pupa that is called cocoon. And the ends of the fibers that is made up of fibroin protein, the ends of these fibers are joined together with the secretion of another sticky substance that is known as sericin. So the cocoon is actually formed of two proteins, fibroin and sericin. And since the silk is obtained from the cocoons, so the silk is formed of sericin and fibroin. So now let's study about the sericulture. Sericulture. Silk is a fabric with an attractive luster and ray called the queen of fibers. It is used not only to make beautiful clothing but also for upholstery and soft furnishings such as curtains, cushions and wall coverings. Silk is produced naturally by larva of silk moth. The best variety of silk is obtained from the larva of the silk moth with the scientific name Bombyx mori. The practice of rearing silkworms in captivity to produce silk on a large scale is called sericulture. Sericulture starts with laying of eggs by the silk moth. The adult yellowish-white female moth lays pinhead-sized, slightly yellowish eggs on a special paper set out by the silk farmer. The eggs are uniformly spread on the egg frames and then covered with tissue paper and an outer frame. These frames are kept in an incubation chamber for about 20 days where they hatch due to the warmth. After 20 days, egg frames are taken out, kept on a tray and opened. In these 20 days, the eggs hatch into about half a centimeter black larvae. These egg frames having larvae are then covered with fresh mulberry leaves by the silk farmer. The larvae then crawl out of the egg frames and feed on the mulberry leaves day and night for 4 to 6 weeks and grow into an adult larvae. After about 6 weeks, the adult larvae stop feeding. Farmers transfer these larvae to mountages. Each larva then produces a single continuous silken thread and wraps this thread around itself to form a protective case called a cocoon. The cocoon formation completes in 3 days. The larva first changes into a pupa and then into an adult silk moth, which then breaks the thread of the cocoon and comes out of it. Since the silk thread of the cotton is damaged by the silk moth while coming out, the silk farmers usually kill them by putting the 10-day-old cocoons in hot water. The hot water also loosens the long silken thread of the cocoons. Loosened threads from several cocoons are then wound into yarn to make strong threads which are woven into cloth. So, sericulture is the practice of rearing silkworms to produce silk on a large scale. And sericulture involves the following steps: laying of eggs by silk moths, hatching of eggs into larvae, formation of adult larvae, formation of cocoons, and extraction of silk threads. So this is how we obtain silk from a cocoon. Now we know that silk is obtained from a cocoon, so broadly three grades of silk are obtained: the reeled silk, spun silk, and the nail silk. The unwound fibers, they form the finest quality silk called the reeled silk. It is pure white in color. Then, the silk that remains after the reeling process from the damaged or waste cocoon, that is carded or combed. It constitutes an inferior quality of silk that is called spun silk, and it is slightly honey colored. Then after the process of carding or combing, the short fibers which are left behind, they constitute an even inferior quality of silk called the nail silk. It is richly textured nubbly silk, which is quite rough. Also, sometimes 3 to 4 silk fibers are twisted into a single strand for weaving to prevent silk yarn from splitting into individual fibers, and this process is called throwing. We can use more than 4 silk fibers even according to our desired thickness. Then the silk fibers that we obtain are spun into silk yarns, which are used by the weavers to weave the silk cloth. And weaving, in the process of weaving, we interlace 2 yarns into a fabric. So the process of interlacing 2 yarns into a fabric is called weaving. It is carried out in looms, and after weaving, the fabric has to be finished. And finishing gives a fabric the desired appearance and feel. Finishing includes treatments such as grease-proofing, waterproofing, fireproofing, etc. And finally, we obtain silk fabric, which is widely used for making saris, dress materials, jackets, carpets, scarves, and gloves. So this is all with the study of silk and also with the study of animal fibers. So with this, I end up today's class. I hope the chapter is clear to you. So the chapter is complete. If you are having any doubt, you can ask. So in the next session, we will be discussing some other chapter. So till then, take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and goodbye.